We are the Tendys on Pattison. We are back. We've made this 3 weeks in a row, and I think 3 weeks in a row we're without our third chair. Chris is really crapping the bed here.
At this rate, there is no third chair.
We'll have to reintroduce him to everybody.
This is Chris. You've never seen him before.
So we got 3 Flyers games in between when we last spoke with everybody and when we're back now.
5 out of 6 points.
5 out of 6 points. Before we get to that, because I think we've got a lot of excitement there, the league news in between the last time we were on and now was, well, I guess there's 2 things. One, a lot different than the other. So one, Evander Kane, league finds not much evidence to support his ex-wife, mother of his child's claims, but he earns himself a 21-game suspension for a fake vaccine card.
Yeah, I mean, the NHL hasn't come out and said exactly what the exact issue was, but it was reported it was a fake vaccine card, and it's just unacceptable. I think 21 games is a little light, personally. It's just it's completely irresponsible. It's rumored that his teammates don't want him back, and I'm sure this isn't helping things. I'm sure his teammates, so at least some of his teammates, knew about the fake card, and it's just he's endangering his teammates, his coaches, the staff, and their families. Like, I would be extraordinarily upset if I was one of his teammates, and I don't blame him. I don't blame them for not wanting him back, because it's wrong. Just to lie about that stuff, it's just wrong. Either get vaccinated or you don't. I feel as though everyone should be vaccinated unless it's a medical reason, but that's my opinion. He can have the other opinion. He's entitled to that opinion, but don't lie about it.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I saw it. Is it's none of my business. Like, personally, I feel like it's none of my business as far as what someone's doing with their body. But at the same time, to me, faking the vaccine card's almost like faking a drug test. Worse. Yeah, it's worse, right? But nonetheless, it's not the underlying issue, right? Like, you take what the rules are going to be for you. The faked vaccine card makes it that basically you're sitting there and you're trying to go around the rules without doing the things that you're supposed to be doing, in that regard. There's other players in the league. I know there's not many. I believe it to be under 10 that aren't vaccinated. Now we don't know how many have a fake card. I mean, if there's more than him, but
I'm sure there might be a couple out there, but
I guess my point is that there's an amount that the league knows aren't, and there are rules they have to play by, and that's just the way it is. And you're better off being upfront and honest about it than trying to go around it. It's
you're playing with people's lives. Like, it's not. It's wrong.
Yeah, and in my own feelings about what people should and shouldn't do, it doesn't matter. All you have to do is be honest, right? Like, that's really the long and short of it. All he had to do was do what the other guys who aren't vaccinated did. But look, and I don't.
He didn't want to risk being told he couldn't play and losing money because he's so strapped for cash because of his issues, both gambling and the fact that he's splitting from his wife. So it's not good.
No, but it's a bad look, and I don't want to sound like I'm just stealing what Chicklets had to say about it, because they just talked about it. But the reality is like, I don't know Evander Kane, but it just feels like there's always an amount of trouble around his name. I don't want it to sound like I have negative things to say about him or positive. I don't know the man. He's never played here, so we don't hear the whispers of what goes on in the city where a player lives or plays in. But there always seem to be some issues floating around him, whether it's he's getting bad advice from people around him or whether it is just he tends to find trouble or the trouble that finds him ends up in the news.
At every spot, at every stop.
Yeah.
There's been something, and there's been issues everywhere. So generally when there's smoke there's fire. So but yeah, I mean, I hope he can get past it, but man, the Sharks are in a really tough spot because what do you do? Like, he's basically your best offensive weapon. He actually had a really good year last year. He's one of their best players. He has 4 more years left at, I think, 7.25 or 7.5. Like what? And the Sharks can't just terminate his contract. Like, they're really stuck.
Yeah, they're in a tough spot. They're in a tough spot there. So, on a different note, the coroner report for the family of Kevin and Jimmy Hayes released the cause of death. Very brave and strong of them to do so. It seemed like Kevin Hayes Sr. really said, like, look, if this can help anybody, I'm not going to hide it if I think it can help somebody. And even though I think most people know, or if they don't know directly or haven't been touched directly, someone they know has, or they don't know and someone they know is dealing with it. And the reality is like, even with that being the truth, there are still people who have bad or shitty opinions about substance abuse and addiction. And the family didn't have to release that. They don't owe that to anybody, but it's brave of them to do so.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredibly difficult situation, and like you said, it is brave of them to do so, and because inevitably you open yourself up to criticism and like when you play sports, you get injured. That's just it's the way it is, and um, you know, anyone that has an addiction issue, like, it's just another part of life that someone has to try to get through, and it's easier for some and harder for others. And especially when you have athletes that put their bodies and their minds on the line to play a sport. you know you can't you can't really kill them for you know for getting addicted because they're just trying to play. And it's an epidemic in this world, especially in our country, and no one's immune to it. So when you see a guy like Carey Price go into the players program, and these people need support. They don't need criticism. They don't need to be bashed, because the only that's part of the reason why they don't ask for help, is because they don't want to be criticized. They don't want to be judged. And people just have to get past that and just understand everyone has their own vices. Um, my vice would be like fast food. um, but
Believe
like,
me, I understand that one.
but like, everyone has their vices, and sometimes people need help to get through. And some, unfortunately for Jimmy, was too late. Um, but just if you see someone that's not in a good way, talk to them. You don't have to come out and ask them anything. Just talk to them, and hopefully they open up to you if they have an issue, and you help them. I mean, that's just what part of being a good human being is, not sitting there and judging them.
Yeah, it doesn't help anybody. Nobody gets better by being made to feel like a piece of crap. Believe me, I know more than one harder than on an addict than an addict, and being judgmental is not going to get anyone better. And if you actually care about the person, that's what you want. So, on that note, I don't want to just be a downer because we do have good stuff to talk about. But if you or anyone you know needs help, there's no shame in that. There's no shame in loving an addict or trying to help an addict. There's shame in being judgmental about it. So just a bit of news. I was impressed that the Hayes family came out and was honest about it, and I hope that it does help some folks admit help in a business, in a sport where people aren't always great about that. So doesn't make you less of a person if you to need help. And then on to, so we've had 3 Flyers games since we were last on. Everybody, the world was falling, even though they escaped with a stolen point after game 1. You didn't see it live. Did you actually go back and watch the entire game or just highlights?
I watched portions of the game as much as I could. Obviously, the second period, they just got caught standing around and not moving their feet and taking too many penalties. The power play, the penalty kill unit looks like it still needs some work, but it's been better the last 2 games. Granted, Seattle does not have the power play that Vancouver or Boston has. And Boston did not have a power play goal last night, correct?
None. Yeah. No.
So, and the Flyers had at least two. I was working and watching, so it was kind of hard to really keep ultra close concentration. But I know for a fact the Flyers had at least 2 shorthanded odd man rushes, which I think that besides being better in their own penalty kill structure, I think that's something that this new forward group is going to bring. Guys like Atkinson and Farabee, they're going to bring some offensive dangerous chances. So I think this year you're going to see a lot more shorthanded goals. And then, when Hayes comes back and he's in his groove, that's something he's very good at. So I think the penalty kill is going to get there. People have to realize it's game 1. Like, the overreaction is we all shared on social media on Friday night and Saturday. Like, come on, we're overreacting over game 1 of 82. Like, I could see if we were the Canadians right now, we're sitting 0-3 and got humiliated. Like, then and there's the sky is falling. Or Chicago, who made all these moves and they just look just awful. Like, but still, it's way early to be doomsday. And they came out and everyone was harshly criticizing Hart because of a couple bad goals, which he's got to get over that. He's been more consistent. And the Seattle game, he comes out and he made 3 really hard saves in the first period, especially the one glorious save on Eberle. And then the Flyers scored like a minute later, and they scored the 3 goals in, what was it, a 6.5-minute stretch on Monday, and they just rolled after that, and they shut the team down. Whereas Seattle got down 3-0 to Vegas, and they came back and tied it. They were down in New Jersey, they came back and tied it. So it's a resilient team, and the Flyers just put them away. But Hart was big in the beginning, and last night against Boston, a team that really just humiliated them last season. It was good to win a game like that. They still have that second period bugaboo, giving up 18 shots and the 2 goals, surrendering a 3-1 lead. But
basically letting Taylor Hall go on a 1-0 break. That's a player you shouldn't be losing containment on.
Well, there was no containment. It was we talked about before, the good and the bad of Risto, and the good was him just straight up obliterating Charlie Coyle in the first period, pissing him off, which then Coyle takes a penalty literally seconds later, and then the Flyers score in a power play. And then in the second period, he dumps the puck in, not having any hockey awareness of where he is and how like he right there, like he's got to get the puck real deep, not like a soft chip and then just blindly go off, go off the ice and not paying attention. Like you just can't do that. So, and then later in the last minute when he doesn't tie up Marchand at the side of the net, that's your prime, that's your area. Like you have to win that area. And I know Marchand's good and it's not easy, but like, when you're this supposed to be this big nasty defenseman, you got to be shutting people down, and you can't be allowing little tap-ins like that. That's just not good. But I thought overall he played fine, especially his first game, and it's a good team, and but still, it's the mental errors, and we knew there's going to be issues with that. I'm sure every Sabres fan is going, see, like okay, but guess what? It's not acceptable here. Like with who we have, like, all right, like if you're not going to do that, when then we're going to drop in the lineup, and then maybe Cam York will get his shot, but he's going to be given his chance to sink or swim, and I think he's gonna swim.
Yeah, and he's playing for a contract.
Playing for
That's
contract. Yep.
that's like the tall part, and then it is, can he right the wrong that has been going in his career and prove that it all was situation. I'm with you. I'm not going to get too high or too low until really he's got a good few games under his belt. He hasn't really practiced much over the last couple weeks. First real game with the team with the full lineup. We'll see. Some are mental errors, when you're just maybe not fully engaged. Some seem to be historical ones, that he's been making his whole career. This coaching staff's not going to tolerate it, and look,
I want to see where he is at the quarter mark, at the 20 game.
Yeah,
I think that's a reason. When you're at the 20 game mark, everyone has had enough opportunity to prove, where they are is pretty much where they're going to be for the rest of the year, barring any major, guys coming back from injury or guys that are hurt now but playing through it, which there's not an awful lot of that on the Flyers. So I'm very pleased. The offense is there. That much is for sure.
Yeah, but I could have swore all the writing was who's going to score.
Yeah, I mean, people saying that TK, where's he going to be? What's he doing? Atkinson, like Atkinson's a shoot first guy. Like we talked about it in our texts, but like Atkinson's not going to put up the total points that Jake put up, but he's going to at least double the amount of goals, and his less points are going to have more of an impact than what Jake did, what Jake would have done. So, and just the way he plays, it's just the mentality has switched, and it's refreshing to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's not about size, right? Like some of the things that he does are not about size; it's about intensity. It's about willingness, and then the speed. He's a fast skater. What I said to you before we got online was being at the game. I don't want to say shocked, but it caught me by a little bit by surprise, the difference in speed with Farabee and Atkinson compared to the other lines.
The Fab line.
The Fab line, is that what they're being affectionately nicknamed right now?
I think Snow the goalie labeled them as such, which it sounds good.
It sounds good. It fits. They've been playing Fab.
Yep, and I'm sure Farabee would appreciate it.
So yeah, right. But Brassard, for his last couple stops, he's been a bottom 6 player, correct? And that's what he was signed to be, I think. But he's looked at home.
Yeah, I mean, now you really think about it, like when Hayes comes back, if he's your third line center, I'm okay with it, like because that pushes Lawton down to be your 4C, and you're stacked down the middle. I mean, even when, as we talked about, even when Hayes comes back, like it's going to take him a little while to get back, like fully back.
But
So
so as long as obviously we know it's early, right? And we know Seattle's a game in there. Vancouver's not a bad team. Like I think that
Vancouver's a good team. They're like I like I like Demko and net. I like their D for the most part, and their top six forwards are sick. So, um,
they have a
you
very
know,
modern NHL defense.
yeah,
They all can skate really well. They all have great edge work.
yep,
Very modern, defensive unit. But I guess that's my point is we tend to, in Philly, maybe not me and you or some other people that are more dialed in, tend to see Vancouver as, I don't know what, a borderline team. And 2 years ago, this was a team pushing.
yeah,
And
yeah. I
last year they
mean,
had a bad
they
season.
they were a good third period away from being in the conference finals
Yeah.
in the bubble. So
Yeah. Right. And last year, I mean, obviously Tampa goes, so you're trade Simmons for Kane.
no comment.
As last year went, for the most part, I'm not like everybody talked about the bubble, and is that championship going to be real? And I feel like the bubble was more real than what last year was.
Yeah, like the season was just like that was tough. Um, like, have you watched the All or Nothing on Amazon yet?
I haven't. I have to put it on. I've been so tied up. I had a busy couple days, and then I got tied up in watching Only Murders in the Building on Hulu, so I haven't put it on yet.
It's awesome. Like what you get out of that is way better than we ever got out of 24/7. And 24/7 was good, but this is another notch. Like, because you get to see some of the inner workings of the staff, and it's great to see. And I watched the last episode today of their playoff collapse against the Habs, and seeing seeing Jack Campbell just just totally distraught, just losing it in the locker room. It was actually hard to watch. Like, I actually felt really bad for him. A guy that's battled, he was a first round pick. His career was in major jeopardy, and he worked his way back up, and won the starting job and was awesome. And then you know lets up that awful goal in Game 7, which was very bad, and you can't do. But you got shut out. Well, they scored a goal with a minute and a half left, but
Yeah.
for all intents and purposes, you got shut down. You got shut out, and the team let him down. But to see him just distraught like that was actually kind of hard to see.
Yeah, I'll have to put it on. I might actually, when we get off air, I might turn around and put that on for a little bit. But yeah, and so obviously we wanted to come out and shellac Hackstall. Oh, we got another one. Billy, you're one behind Fuzz.
The co-host that shall not be named.
You're one behind Fuzz there, but yeah, we wanted to beat Hack pretty bad, but and Seattle looks more like a traditional expansion team than Vegas did, but
they compete. I mean, they're not as good as Vegas was. I think they're playing more the long game. Because to be honest, when Vegas once their window closes, they're going to be in some rough.
They're going to be lean. Yeah, they're going to be lean for a little while. They're right up against it. The cap
right up against it.
Yeah.
The cupboard is empty of prospects, and it's not good.
And picks, right? So even not just prospects, but a lot of times you can go the pick route. I mean, look, they might have another year or two of an elite window. We don't know. You don't know how players are going to fade. You don't know what injuries are going to happen. So it's not like it's closing this season, but you also don't know what the season's going to look like. You get cold, someone gets hurt, someone makes a fake vaccine card.
If they win a cup it's all worth it. Like
Right,
we
right.
talked about before, like if you,
Who
you
cares?
know,
Yeah.
yeah, you got like, you got to go for it. When your window's open, you got to kick it open further, and you have to go for it. And hopefully that the Flyers get to that point where it's consistently, you know, being on the cusp, and hopefully getting one because like we got ourselves a Super Bowl, a World Series ring. I don't give a shit about the Sixers. Um, I Nothing personally would mean more to me than an orange and black parade down Broad.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. The '08 Phils, to be honest with you, and then we'll get back to hockey. But the '08 Phils, I had been reserved because we had our heart broken as sports fans so many times. I had been reserved at that point to say like, it's just not going to happen. Like I'm just not going to see a championship, and that team changed that whole feeling.
Yep.
Um, it removed. It's many years removed now. It doesn't feel like it was 13 years ago, but that being said, it just changed everything. You just feel different when you have a contender, than before where you were negative the whole time. Those
Yeah.
those early 2000s Eagles teams, the 93 Phils felt like a team of destiny, like the '01 Sixers who had a good Cinderella story, the 2010 Flyers, like they're just, I mean, the 10 Flyers, I guess, is afterwards, but nonetheless, you believed more about the 10 Flyers because of the
Yep.
'08 Phils, you
Yeah.
know.
You believe that could happen because the William Penn curse was
It
no
was
more.
broken. It was broken. Um, but all of that those things being said, um, Ellis as advertised, right? I
Yep.
mean, what a just solid defenseman. Cool, calm, collected.
He's just really good.
Yeah, right. And we'll see as this season moves on, but right now it has made Provorov better.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, I think that top pairing is going to be good all year long, barring injury. And it's just the second pairing. I think Sanheim's been fine. Um, uh, you just got to see Risto pick it up, and then your third pick Yandel's been awesome. Like Yandel's been, like you said, as advertised. His passing ability is just sick. It's so good, and
great vision.
great vision. Now when you're at home, you control the matchups. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when they're on the road. When him and Braun are forced to be on the ice against the other team's first line off of an icing or whatever. And it'll be, that'll be the test. And there'll be some struggles, but um, he's on pace for so he's got 5 assists. He had an off night last night, only had 1 assist. So he was on pace for 164 apples. That's a lot of,
You heard it here first, guys. Yans.
yeah. Yeah. It's
164 points.
yeah. Well, now I mean that pace
That's
is
just the assists, right? That's
the
just the
assist.
assist.
Yeah, it's not including the goals.
Add
So
another 10 goals, right?
yeah, yeah. So easily 170-point defenseman. Um, that should break a couple records. But yeah, I mean for 900K, like he's already already he's surpassed that.
Yeah, so I mean, right now, 3 games in, we've got a lot of season left, but the new look, the new identity, right? This is a team that's not just getting pushed around and not sticking up for their teammates or skating with their tail between their legs. Um, right now, Chuck looks like A plus. We got a lot of season left.
Yeah,
79 games.
yeah. At the end of the day, it's gonna come down to heart. Like everything else, like even if all the other boxes get checked, if heart isn't good consistently, um, it's all for naught because unless you have because Jones isn't going to come in and save the day on a consistent basis. Um, last night you know helped build some confidence in him, but like that's he did some of that in San Jose the last couple of years. He'd have, a really good game, and then he let up, 4 on 20 shots, and it's like, what are you doing, man? Like, you got to get one. You got to stop a couple of those. So it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward. Um, it was weird to see the fact that I thought they would have went Carter against Boston, and I think that was probably the plan. I think they probably planned on starting Jones against Seattle, but when Carter had those couple fluky goals, especially that one bad one in the corner, they're like, all right, let's put him in there against Seattle. Build some confidence up, and then we'll avoid Boston the first week because Carter wasn't at the very, very top of his game on last Friday. But yeah, it's they have who is it, Florida coming in on Saturday, and Florida's really good, man. They're really, really good.
They're a good dark horse cup team, cup pick.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like same scenario.
It's not a very dark horse. Everybody knows they're a good team. It's just
Yep.
the favorites right now would probably be Tampa and Colorado, just on paper this early. But I think Florida's an interesting pick.
Yeah, no, they're really good. Their depth is very good. Their high end talent's awesome. Their D is solid. It's just, can Spencer Knight, take that number one? Can Bob be consistent? That's the huge question mark for them, because just like the Flyers, if they're not getting elite goaltending, it's
You can't win when come playoff time without it.
Yeah.
Teams are too good. Shooters are too good.
Yep. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
So you're former goaltender. I'm former goaltender. Have you seen anything from Jones or Hart that makes you worried about goaltending coaching?
No. Nope. Like what? Like I'm like, all right. So Carter gave up one bad goal, and then he gave up a bad bounce, fluky off the end wall of his feet. He should have been on his post, but he wasn't sure where the puck was. So like a fluky goal. But any of the 3 goals that Boston scored last night, like they weren't. The first one was a block, like Sanheim blocks. It goes right to the guy to the side of the net. Like that's not on Jones. The second goal is a breakaway with Taylor Hall, who
kind of good at hockey.
Yeah, kind of good at hockey. Perfect shot. I think maybe Jones could have been, couldn't have retreated so much and gave up a little, but he's just trying to stay in the middle of the net and take away, make sure nothing goes through him. And in the third goal, like Risto doesn't pick up the guy's side of the net. The guys are whacking at it, it goes in. Like there was nothing he could have done there. And then, Hart was awesome against Seattle. So like why you're questioning the goalie coach right now is a bit beyond me. I don't understand that.
I don't know. It's a dumb question.
Yeah.
I apologize for that.
Yeah.
It was a dumb question. I can do better. I can be better.
They've given up 8 goals in 3 games. It's early in the year. Like again, like there's no reason to overreact to anything right now unless something becomes a consistent bad trend, and they haven't had that. The only thing that's been maybe questionable in reality is the bad second periods, which they had in the Vancouver game and last night. But outside of that, like I don't see anything to really really harshly criticize them about.
Well, to be honest with you, every game I've checked, I'm not like, I like stats because I think that they're fun, not because I want to use them to tell an entire story. And yes, they've given up 8 goals over 3 games. I believe expectation is 7. 9? Wait, 8.
Yeah, 8.
I believe expectation is 7. So they're like, my point is like, yes, you want to be better than expectation. But nonetheless, it's not like they've given up 8 and expectation was 3.
Yep.
Like
Well, again, that's expected on the statistical line, whereas some people are like, well, I mean, he has to be good, so he can't give up more than two. Anything more than two, no matter the circumstances, like they don't care if it's a 5-0, like he's got to stop it. That's the
well,
way it is.
right. You don't. It's just shot total. It's not quality of shot, right? And that was more or less when I looked at the heat map from last night. The quality of shot for Boston, their high danger chances were all really really tight. They weren't like for me as like former goalie, but also played some offense. My ideal shooting spot is more towards like not quite fully the bottom of the circle, but it's towards the center and like towards the middle, not the face-off dot, but in between the face-off dot and the hash mark. I feel like you get a good view of what you're shooting at there, and you have more shots to take. The tighter you get in, more net. Yeah, the closer you get, the less options you have, less net you get to see. And that to me, the defensive structure and the forecheck have been immensely like night and day compared to last year, other than second period and any period not a second period. Immensely better than what we saw in any game basically last year.
Friday, like look at I want to see the 5-on-5 heat map because again, I didn't see the game on Friday, but I assume I mean it looked like to me on what I saw that all the high danger stuff was all on the power play.
I'm actually going to try and pull it up on the fly here. Hopefully I can get it without us having to sit in silence while I'm getting it.
Yeah, it's just people just need to stop treating every sport like it's a football season. Like there's not 16 or 17 games and every game is like ultra important. Like you just need to, it's game. You have to realize there's 81 more games. There's 79 more games. There's 78 more games. Like everyone just needs to breathe and just like you have 5 out of 6 points. Like calm down. It's way too early to be losing our minds. Now, if they had scored 3 goals in the 3 games and given up, and then they gave up, the 8 goals, then there'd be some pause for concern. But like, it's too early to think about that kind of stuff.
No, so the heat map 5-on-5, they didn't have really a ton of shots in what whatever we want to call it, in my preferred area. There were a small handful that are in like a swoop there, but 5-on-5 against Vancouver, there's not a whole lot of attempts in those areas, and just in 5-on-5. Let me see if I can get the situational for high danger chances.
Yeah, they're fine. They're like, and the good thing is because they have this 4-game homestand that they've been able to practice and work at it. That's why I really think you saw a noticeable difference from Friday night to Monday night, and then to last night. It was just another step in the right direction.
So 5-on-5, it was total 6 high danger chances for Vancouver, 2 in each period. It's not a bad. That's not a bad defensive game.
Can you bring it up for last night?
I have the technology, yes.
I have the power.
Let's see here. We're specifically looking for. Well, they weren't on the kill, so.
Yeah, I'm just looking for 5-on-5 high danger chances.
So high danger chances heavily favored Boston last night, 16-4.
Mm.
Now remember, so out of 16, 10 were in that second period.
Yeah. which
So
to me is good. Like when you play a good team, they're gonna get chances.
especially a line as good as the top Boston line.
Like that's just the way it is. Like they're gonna get chances. I like the fact that they came out in the third period, they got that first goal to go up, and they just locked it down from there on out. They finished the game. Was it a 60-minute game? No, they played 40 minutes. But like you have to realize like when you're when you're in a season, like you're building you're building your team. They have to, learn how to play together. Then they need to learn how to rebound from losses. They need to learn how to win. And it's a progression. And every year it changes because your team changes every single year. So,
And your competitors do too.
yeah. So like it's a different feel every year, and the Flyers made a lot of changes. So it's going to take time for it to like this is not their peak right now. This is not their um uh the expected. You hope the result is where you want it to be, but this is not your final draft in terms of how you expect them to play every single game.
No, I mean it's not even what should be their best roster, right? Because your second best player at center is
Yep.
not playing, um, yeah,
Who is a defensive stalwart. Like he's a center, but he's really good defensively.
yeah. I mean and then it pushes your more offensively gifted players into better situations.
Yep.
And further down the lineup, right? For, like we talked about for Lawton, but also the players on his line, they're not responsible for quite as much. But again, if he ends up on the line with Farabee and Atkinson, well, geez, you got a lot of offense and defense between those three players. They are three
Yep.
good battling players. They're not
Yep.
just no one's a finesse player on that lineup.
So then that let's assume that they just swap the centers. So then that would become the half line, right?
yeah,
Cade, Atkinson, Farabee, because or you go Faha like or Fa line.
we're off. Whoa, whoa, man down.
But yeah, I'm anxious. I'm anxious to see how they do against Florida. That's gonna be a nice test.
Big test. Yeah, big test.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm anxious.
And they have a West Coast trip coming up too, I believe.
Yep, they're in Edmonton next Wednesday, which it's another. Carter's getting that game.
Oh yeah, he's got to.
Yeah, because they don't have anything between that, do they? They play Saturday. They play Saturday, Wednesday, right?
Well, if they've got to get out to Edmonton from Florida, then I can't imagine they have a stop in between.
Yeah, so it's then they have Florida on Saturday, then they have Edmonton on Wednesday, and then in Vancouver on Thursday. So my guess is Hart plays the next two. I would think Jones plays against Vancouver.
Vancouver.
And look at the rest of the schedule. Then you have Calgary on the following Saturday. Like they need to they just need to. Everyone wants them to win every game. Like you're not going to win every game, but if you can take if you can gain 4 to 6 points, 4 out of every 6 points, 4 out of every 6 points, like you're gonna have a really good team. Like,
and there's nothing wrong with getting a road point.
Yeah.
Here and there either. Anytime you can get one instead of none on a long road trip.
It was at home. Like you salvaged a point. Like that's big. Like to be able to come back like that, that's big. By the way, people forget this is also a contract year for Drew. So I expect him to have a big year too.
I do, but I still think that even so, he's probably. I mean, I don't want to speak for Giroux, but I would imagine he's still going to be in line for a pay cut, even with the big year.
Yeah, yeah. It's not an increase. That can't happen. Yeah,
And yeah,
I would venture to think he gets knocked down to the sixes.
yeah, sixes and maybe some shorter term, but
Oh yeah, you can't give him long term because there's going to come a point where he's going to fall off a ledge physically.
Well, or he's just going to have a bunch of minor nagging injuries. Like it just either either you just can't hang or the injuries start to take away games.
Yep.
Which is
And once that starts, it generally doesn't stop at his age.
No. So that's kind of what we're looking forward to. Did you have anything else you wanted to discuss?
No, I'm happy with the good start, and I just want to see it continue. And I think certain people and on certain social media networks just need to take a chill pill and just watch the team instead of being hot take city. I think we should just watch the team play and evaluate each game within its own.
Yeah, until you get more of a narrative, right?
Yep.
Like, but I guess some people can't. It's not fun unless they're outraged or angry or developing the next story. I don't know, but
Some people want to watch the world burn.
So I'm going to do as we always do here, even though I don't, there's some shows that have been added, I believe, since this was developed. But we are part of Philly Sports Alliance. Today is Thursday. We started at 5:30. We're going to be out soon. Later tonight, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs will be on. Obviously, a wrestling show. Monday, the Football Smack Talk show at 6 o'clock. Obviously, it's a football show. Obviously, it's hosted in Philadelphia, so there's going to be Eagles talk, but it is the Football Smack Talk show. During baseball season, our third chair guy is on another show called The Diamond Club.
Our
That's
third
on
chair that shall not be named.
That is Mondays at 7:30. Tuesdays, the Philly broadcast, 6:30 p.m. Wednesday, the Bald Eagle, 6 o'clock. Obviously, that's an Eagles-centric show, but he also does sample different beers. So if you enjoy beers, maybe you can get a good suggestion off of what he's trying out and listen to some Eagles talk. And then Wednesday at 6 o'clock, no, 8 o'clock. I don't have my glasses on. 8 o'clock is Mike Sports. That is the Philly Sports Alliance lineup. We are part of that brand. We bring you a show every Thursday. Additionally, our intro song was developed by Steven Rosplock of the Party Snakes. Go follow them on Spotify. They have a song called Wear Me Out. You can also hit Steven up for different music editing, or like I did for maybe a short musical intro. Otherwise, guys, we will be back next Thursday for the next episode of Tendys on Pattison. Thanks, guys.